Welcome back. We have Lori Horton in the studio with us this morning, and she's here to teach us how to make some pink lemonade sandwich cookies.
Yeah,
good morning.
Good morning.
So tell me, yes.
Monday again,
Yes.
So here we are. We've got kind of a different one this morning. It's a little bit of a two-step process.
Okay.
We're gonna make some really good strawberry cake mix cookies.
Ooh, yum.
Nothing too crazy. And then when we come back in the 7 o'clock hour, we're gonna make a lemon buttercream filling to go in them.
That sounds so
And then we're going to make
delicious.
some sandwich cookies
Yes,
out of those. So
wonderful.
it's a great combination. But all we're going to start with is a strawberry cake mix. And
Okay.
this is just whatever your favorite brand is, a whole box. Yeah,
Okay.
just that whole bag. But that's as far as we're going to go. You don't need to worry about any other directions
Okay,
on that
so
box.
just the mix.
Just the
Gotcha.
mix. We're going to add to that a half a cup of just regular old vegetable oil and a couple of eggs. And you don't even have to get the mixer out just yet for this one. You
Okay.
can easily do this by hand. Don't dirty too many extra dishes, but
Right.
we're gonna just mix that up really thoroughly and make sure that all of that oil and those
Okay.
eggs get intercombined slowly, unless you like to clean up a mess. It's not going to add a lot of color, so you'll notice on our recipe that you'll be able to find online, you can add a little bit of pink food coloring
yeah.
to that.
Just to brighten it up a little
Yeah,
bit.
exactly. It's optional. So if you don't like to add a lot of that extra artificial color, leave it as it is. There's already some in the cake mix, so it's going to come out pink. Don't worry. But if you want to just brighten it up, make it a little summery, little extra. But if you do that, make sure that you're using a gel color or the type of color you'd use in your frosting that's
Right.
really thick. You don't want to use the watery, Easter egg dye
Yes,
colors
yes. Will
because
that
you're
mess with the texture of the
yeah,
cookies
you're
when you
going to add
bake?
a little
Okay.
too much extra liquid to it. So when you get done, you're going to get a nice, soft, just kind of a thick cake mix look to it.
Yes,
And then
perfect.
we are going to dump in about a quarter of a cup of white chocolate
Ooh,
chips.
yum.
Yeah, it's going to sweeten it up a little bit if you love white chocolate. And these are kind of optional too. You don't have to. I actually really love this with just regular chocolate chips in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I like to use the mini ones. So,
Okay.
it's whatever you love the best. You can kind of play with that a little bit. There's so many varieties of chocolate
Yes,
chips now.
yes.
They're not all chocolate, they're everything. So you can change up your cake mix flavor on this and change up your chips and really come up with some creative combinations there that's kind of fun to,
Oh, how
to make
fun.
your taste. So,
It's so
this would
easy.
be great with a chocolate cake mix, peanut butter chips, and then make a peanut butter filling.
Well, we'll just have to have
But
you make that one time.
we'll
for
come
us.
back. We'll come back and do that another day. But today we're sticking with that strawberry lemonade. So once we get it all mixed up, you can see it's got a good consistency. It's not really sticking to my
Okay, yes,
bowl a lot.
perfect.
And then we're just going to take a small cookie scoop
Okay.
and we're going to put this on our pan. And you guys know I love these pre-cut parchment papers. They make life so much easier.
Yes.
But you definitely want to line that pan because this is a soft cookie. You can see it's a very soft dough. And it just makes it a lot easier on cleanup and it cooks nice and easy.
And you want about that 2 inches apart from the
Yeah,
cookies.
they
'cause
don't
they'll
spread a
out.
lot, but they do a little. So give them a
Okay.
little room. When those go on there, you could even sprinkle them with just a little bit of sparkly pink sanding sugar, make them really
so fun.
festive.
Yes.
And then you're going to bake that at 350 for about 9 minutes, maybe a little more on a rainy morning like today. But just watch them, they'll lightly brown. They're not going to change a lot. And then when we come back, we'll make our filling.
Wonderful. Stick around. Thanks so much, Lori. Welcome back. Lori Horton is showing us her recipe for pink lemonade sandwich cookies. And we've already made our delicious cookies. What's the next step?
All right, yeah, while everybody else was watching all the events of the day, I baked off the rest of our dough. So this was our simple cake mix
Yes.
strawberry cookie, just that cake mix, oil, eggs, and we added in some white chocolate chips. I did half and half on the little sparkly
Okay.
sugar on the top because
they look so
we're making sandwiches
Yes, they
out
look
of them.
so
So you
fun.
really don't need to put your sugar on both cookies. These are going to be the bottom, these are going to be the top.
Perfect.
So easy peasy. Now we need to make that lemon filling
Yes.
that's going to really bring those flavors together. So we're starting out with about a stick and a half of butter.
Okay.
This is nice and soft, room temperature. Excuse me, room temperature, and then just powdered sugar. So I'm going to add a little bit into this to start with, and then I'm going to make a little noise here. And we're going to add that powdered sugar in just a little at a time, obviously, for obvious reasons. Get that a little bit creamy.
Okay, wonderful.
And to get that lemon flavor in there, you've got a couple of options, and you can use a lemon curd. You can make a homemade lemon curd, which is
yes.
wonderful, but you can also just use a simple lemon pie filling
Okay,
as well. We just
wonderful.
want a nice lemon, like a pudding type
Absolutely.
consistency. So this is about 1/4 cup. I'm going to go ahead and add that in there as well. And a little bit more powdered sugar. Again, we want to kind of step this process so that we don't make a mess and we get those flavors mixed together really well and incorporated. So a little at a time is always best so that they have time to kind of meld together.
Absolutely, yes.
Nice and slow on the mixer. You don't need to have a big heavy duty anything. Making a little noise this morning. It's going to come together very quickly. So you'll
Yes,
see
look at
you've
that.
already got a pretty creamy texture, and I've just added a
Nice lemony
little.
color. It smells so good
I know
with the
lemon
lemon
is
curd.
such
Ooh,
a good
yes.
strong flavor.
It really
but to
is.
boost that a little bit, I'm
Okay,
going to add
yes.
just a splash
Okay.
of actual lemon juice. And to kind of mellow that out a little bit, a little splash of vanilla. So
yum.
those
Great
two
combo.
together, yeah. I mean, it's not the first thing you always think of in like a buttercream type frosting, but they're so good together. You just want to make sure you don't overdo the lemon to where it gets too tart. You want
Absolutely,
a nice
yes.
smooth balance.
And so what kind of consistency are you looking for on this frosting? Are you looking for it to be a little bit more stiff or soft?
We want it a little bit soft because we don't want to. We're not going to try to pipe. We're not
Right.
going to try and make any fancy decorations
Okay.
out of it. But we also need it to kind of stay together
Yes.
and hold our cookies
Okay. Mm-hmm.
and not just sort of melt out of it. So kind of somewhere in the
Okay,
middle.
perfect.
That's a good explanation without giving you an answer at all, right? We're going to cream a little bit more. I added a little more powdered sugar when I added in that lemon juice too. And make sure we get it all combined. Now, another important step when you're making frosting is to really take a minute in between and scrape down your bowl.
Yes.
Because this is where you find all those little extra pockets of the flavoring or some little pockets of powdered sugar in there. You want to make sure they get incorporated. Again, you can add a little bit of food coloring to this too if you want to brighten it up a little
yes.
bit, but it's got a beautiful buttery
doesn't it?
color
Oh, it
to
looks
it already,
great. It
and
smells
so
so good, too.
we're going to leave it as it is. So when we
Perfect.
come back, we're going to put all these together and we're going to combine those flavors. It's going to be awesome.
All right, wonderful. Stick around. We'll be right back. Lori is showing us the last few steps for these delicious pink lemonade sandwich cookies. What else do we have to do?
All right, now we're just down to some assembly required. So that's the most fun part.
Yes, it is.
And you know, these are not anything that the kids couldn't help with. They're not super complicated, not a lot of measuring, you know, too many steps and they sort of get bored halfway
Right,
through.
yes.
So we try and keep those simple. The easiest way for us to really distribute that frosting evenly and just less mess is
Yes.
obviously going to be a piping bag. You can use a large Ziploc bag for this as well. You want to maybe get a freezer bag that's a little heavier.
Yes,
Not going to
yes.
explode on you.
Perfect.
But this is a nice big bag. Make a little noise again there. That right in the microphone for you guys. I know that's fun. We're just going to add that frosting right in there. Keep it inside the bag, nice and neat. Now I'm going to fill it up. I'm kind of used to that, so go in smaller steps in this as well because you're probably not used to piping and squeezing big batches of
Yes.
frosting like I am. So do a little at a time, that's okay. Bags are not expensive. We're gonna just work that down in there and then just clip a little bit off the end just to make a nice
so no
size
piping
opening.
tip or anything, you just cut
No,
it right
we're
off.
just going to
Super
fill that in
easy,
between there,
yes.
so it really doesn't matter if it's got a fancy design to it. We'll keep it simple.
Wonderful.
So I put sugar on about half of my cookies, so I know which ones are the bottoms and which ones are going to be our tops. So we're going to just take that, and if you guys can see, nobody ever appreciates the bottom of a cookie, but they're so pretty. They're a
they
nice
are.
golden brown.
Perfect.
That's what you're going to go for. I baked these a little bit smaller today, so I literally baked them off within the last hour. It was about 8 minutes spot on a piece. So we're going to just add a nice even layer. I always like to start on the outside, give myself a nice spot, and then, you know, a little bit extra. We don't want to be stingy.
No.
And then put that sparkly one right on top.
Oh, look at that.
Give them a little bit press. Nice fat hunk of frosting in between there.
I
These
love
are
it.
a really
Oh my
good
gosh.
combination.
Oh, they look so
it
fun.
just takes
Perfect
a
for
few
summer.
minutes and, you know, really make it easy, make it an assembly line, go through, flip all of your bottom ones over, and you can just take that piping bag and just go through there, you know, make a lot of them at a time. This batch made about 23, again, smaller size ones. I
Yes.
used a smaller cookie scoop on there. So if you want to do a bigger one, use a little bit bigger scoop. Again, where you're putting two of them together with that frosting, I think you kind of want them a little bit smaller.
Yeah,
It's a
just a
pretty
little bit.
generous
Yeah, it's a
helping,
nice-
especially if it's for kids. But this would be so fun to do for, you know, a bridal shower, or we've got some thank you teacher gifts coming up for the end of the year. The kids are almost done.
Absolutely. And like you mentioned earlier, you can do so many different combinations as
Exactly.
well. Super
Anything with that
versatile.
cake mix, change it up a little bit and then just change up the filling. They're great with a regular buttercream. Leave that lemon out, add a little bit more vanilla, almond,
yeah.
something like that. But the strawberry lemon together is such a great summer
Yes, and it
combination. And
smells
I'm
so
ready
good.
for it. I am so ready for it. So give this one a try. I think you guys will really like it, and don't be afraid to experiment a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Stick
Absolutely.
around. We'll be right back.